Well, I'm joined now by Cecilia Sottilotta, who is an assistant professor of international relations and global politics at the American University of Rome. Thank you very much, Cecilia, for joining us here on the programme. I mean, when we look at those sort of opinion polls where 54% of Italians wanted him to stay, only a quarter of Italians want a snap election, would you say then that these parties were just not listening to what the Italian people want?
This is an interesting question, actually. Yesterday, in his address to the Senate, Draghi said exactly that. I'm only here because Italians are asking me to be here, right? I think this irritated somehow the parliament and speaks to the fact also that from the very beginning, Draghi, as a technocratic leader, was kind of restless in terms of, showed a sort of impatience with respect to the procedural, even sometimes the substantial hurdles of parliamentary dynamics. I'm not entirely sure that the Italian public opinion is so overwhelmingly in favor of Draghi. That is, there is a section, and a large section, as you were saying, of the public opinion believing that Draghi could guarantee a modicum of stability to this country, at least until the spring of 2023, when we were going to have elections anyway. But at the same time, there is some restlessness. And this is, for instance, maybe proved by the fact that the only party that was not part of the national unity government, that is the Brothers of Italy party, the far-right party you mentioned before, has been soaring in the opinion polls. So is now, according to the polls, it's the first party in Italy. So the public opinion is not so homogeneous as it would seem.
Homogeneous, as you say. And ultimately, it was a far-right party that brought down Mr. Draghi.
Yes, indeed. And this was also kind of an interesting and perhaps unexpected turn of events, because everybody was watching the Five-Star Movement, which is the party that initiated this crisis. But then Berlusconi and Salvini both seized the opportunity. I believe that the main reason why they did this is that they saw an opportunity in terms of electoral gains in case of a snap election in the fall. Nobody really wants to come.
Is a snap election likely to happen? I mean, ultimately, it is in the hands of the president, and everyone is saying that it could take place in October.
If you had asked me this question yesterday morning, I would have said it's it's unlikely. And this is because this would be the first time in Italy's history, Republican history, that an election takes place in the fall, which is a very unusual time. But I think at this point, I think it's almost sure that it's going to happen. I think that Sergio Mattarella doesn't really have many other options. It's not really thinkable to create a new majority. So what's probably going to happen is that after the conversation that Mattarella is going to have with the president of the Senate and the Chamber of Deputies, he is going to dissolve the parliament and then so call for elections. They should be, I think the dates that are being discussed are because there's an institutional calendar to be respected. And I think the first date could be the 18th of September or the following week, or October the 2nd has also been mentioned.
And Cecilia, I mean, no doubt what happens in Italy impacts the rest of Europe. It's the third biggest economy in Europe. It's a significant player when it comes to decision making. I mean, Mark was just saying there the one person who's probably rubbing his hands in glee is sitting in the Kremlin. So, what happens in Italy in terms of a bigger picture has an overall impact on the rest of Europe as well.
This is nothing new. If you think about it, Italy is again the third largest economy in the EU, but also one of the most highly indebted countries in the world in terms of government debt. So this is nothing new. And you may remember that 10 years ago, at the time of the financial crisis and the sovereign debt crisis in the European Union, the situation was very similar. And unfortunately, I'm afraid that the formula that the party system in Italy adopted to try and cure the malaise of the country was the same. That is, to resort, instead of trying to solve the problems that are to be solved by the parliament, they resorted to a technocrat. Back in the day, it was Monti. Another Mario. I think this is the biggest problem in the country. Draghi was considered to be like a savior, but the long-term problems of Italy cannot be solved by a single person. So the only way forward is via, I suppose, elections at this point.
Okay, Cecilia, thank you so much for joining us here on the